Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into something pretty fascinating today, a hidden clue in our blood that links to a health issue for millions of men. And the surprising part? It all comes down to age.
Okay, let's kick things off with a big number, 30 million. That's how many men in the US, according to a recent national health survey, are dealing with erectile dysfunction. Just to put that in perspective, that's a huge chunk of the male population, and it's a number that's only going up as people get older.
So, what exactly is ED? Well, the clinical definition is right there, but what you really need to know is that it's complicated. There can be a whole mix of causes, psychological, hormonal, you name it. But a really, really big piece of the puzzle is your vascular health. I mean, it all comes down to blood flow, right? That's the key.
All right, so this brings us to our main character, or maybe our main suspect. It's a substance in your blood called homocysteine, or HCY. Now, HCY is just an amino acid, one of the basic building blocks of protein. But like a lot of things, too much of it can be a bad thing. When those levels creep up, it's been linked to some serious trouble, especially damage to the delicate lining of your blood vessels.
So that leads to the big question. Could this totally common amino acid actually be a hidden culprit for ED? Well, some researchers got their hands on a huge pile of data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. It's called NHANs, and they decided to dig in. But the first answer they got was not what they were looking for at all. So when they first started crunching the numbers, it looked like they had an open and shut case. The connection seemed super obvious.
So if you just look at the raw data, what scientists call an unadjusted model,
The link was right there in plain sight. Higher HC levels? Yep, higher risk of ED. Seemed pretty straightforward. But here's where it gets tricky. Good science isn't just about looking at two things in isolation. You have to account for all the other stuff that could be messing with your results. Things like age, smoking habits, diabetes, you get the picture. And once the researchers factored all of that in, poof, the link was gone. It just disappeared.
So, here's the official word from the study. Basically, what they're saying is, once you account for everything else, homocysteine on its own didn't seem to be the problem anymore. The connection they thought they saw just wasn't there.
So, case closed, right? Move on? Not so fast. This is the part I love. Instead of just throwing in the towel, the researchers thought, hang on a second, maybe we're not asking the right question. They had a hunch that something else was going on, something hidden deep inside the numbers that a simple analysis would miss. And that's when they struck gold. They started digging for those hidden connections, and they found the real story. It turned out the effect of homocysteine wasn't the same for everyone. The real answer, the secret ingredient, was age. So they sliced the data in half, men under 50 and men 50 and over, and boom, the picture snapped into focus. For the younger guys, under 50, nothing. No real link to speak of. But for the men 50 and older, the connection was back, and this time it was strong. Like, really strong and impossible to ignore. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at that difference. In that older group, the men with the absolute highest HCY levels had an 81% higher risk of ED compared to the guys with the lowest levels. So the mystery was solved. It wasn't that HCY didn't matter, it was that it really mattered, but only after age 50. Okay, so this discovery immediately leads to the next big question. If this is a risk for older men, is there like a magic number? A specific level where the danger really kicks in? How high is too high? And you're not going to believe how specific they got. Through all their statistical wizardry, they nailed it down to a single number, 9.22 micromoles per liter. That was it. That was the line in the sand for men over 50. So think about it like this. It's not just about having high HCY in general. It's about crossing this very specific tipping point. If your level is below 9.22, you're fine. The risk doesn't really go up. But the moment you cross that threshold, the risk for ED starts climbing right along with your HCY level. So why does this happen? What's going on in the body? Well, high levels of HCY are basically bad news for your blood vessels. They literally start to damage that delicate inner lining. It's called the endothelium. And that lining is mission control for blood flow.
When it's damaged, the blood vessels can't relax and open up properly, and that's exactly what needs to happen for an erection to occur. Okay, so let's talk about what this actually means for you, because this isn't just some random science fact. This is way bigger than just ED. It's really a clue, a potential window into your overall heart health. There's this idea that researchers talk about called the artery size hypothesis. And it's a really simple but incredibly powerful way to understand why this is all so important. Just think about the plumbing in a house. The arteries that go to the penis are like the small pipes under the sink, while the arteries to your heart are the big main lines. Now, if you've got a problem causing gunk to build up in your pipes, like high homocysteine, where are you going to see the blockage first? In the small pipes, right? That's why ED can be an early warning sign. It's like the canary in the coal mine for your entire cardiovascular system. All right, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways here? 1. The HCY and ED link is real, but it's all about age. It really kicks in for men 50 and older. 2. There's a specific number to watch, that 9.22 threshold. And 3. Maybe the biggest point of all, this just drives home how closely connected your sexual health and your heart health really are. They're two sides of the same coin.
So, this whole thing really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could a simple blood test, something that measures homocysteine, tell you a lot more about your heart health than you ever thought? This research strongly suggests that for men over 50, the answer is a big yes. And it leaves us with this final thought. Maybe we need to start thinking about ED less as a lifestyle issue and more as a crucial, early warning signal from our body that we absolutely cannot afford to ignore.